The lecture hall stretched 300 meters in every direction, a cathedral of knowledge carved from living crystal that pulsed with bioluminescent veins. Instructor Jothik's 6 eyes scanned the assembled cadets, representatives from 47 species across the Galactic Coalition, each one carefully selected for their potential in military strategy and xenological studies. Prime War. Jothik's translator rendered his chittering voice into standard Coalition. Is the inevitable conflict that occurs when a species first discovers faster-than-light travel and encounters another spacefaring civilization with incompatible survival imperatives. The Velkorn cadets, with their crystalline exoskeletons, hummed in acknowledgement. The Drasi, aquatic beings in their mobile water tanks, rippled with understanding. Everyone knew this fundamental truth of galactic history. Statistical analysis of 3,000 known civilizations reveals an absolute constant, Jothik continued, his antennae quivering with emphasis. No species has survived Prime War intact. The victors are inevitably so depleted, so psychologically scarred, that they either collapse into isolation or fragment into competing factions. Prime War marks not a civilization's triumph but the beginning of its long decline. In the back row, tucked between a towering Grenth warrior and a Selenium collective mind, 2 humans sat quietly. Orla's green eyes remained fixed on the instructor, while Lewis took notes on his datapad with methodical precision. The Krell Dominion, Jothik projected a hologram of a once mighty empire, lost 90% of their population. The Ithmora collective fractured into 16 warring states. He paused dramatically. The Fen simply stopped reproducing, their species consumed by what your translators might call existential despair. Orla's hand twitched, but Lewis caught her eye and gave an almost imperceptible shake of his head. Not yet. This is why the Coalition exists, Jothik concluded. To prevent Prime War. To guide emerging species through first contact protocols. Because once Prime War begins, there are no true victors. Only survivors who wish they hadn't survived. The instructor's eyes swept the room. Questions? Silence. The weight of 3,000 civilizations' failures pressed down on the young cadets like a physical force. Then from the back, barely audible, we did. Every head, or sensory apparatus, turned. Jothik's translator crackled. Clarification required. Identify speaker. Lewis stood slowly, his human frame appearing almost fragile compared to the varied anatomy surrounding him. Humanity survived Prime War, instructor. We're still here. The lecture hall erupted in a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and translated objections. The Grenth cadet beside him shifted uncomfortably, his massive frame suddenly protective. Jothik's antennae straightened, a sign of severe skepticism. Human cadet Lewis, humanity encountered the Coalition 73 standard years ago. Your species is pre-Prime War by definition. No, sir. Orla stood now too, her voice carrying across the crystal chamber with surprising strength. We had our Prime War against ourselves. The objections died instantly. Elaborate, Jothik commanded, his academic curiosity overriding his skepticism. Lewis pulled up data on his pad, projecting it for all to see. 1914 to 1918, First Prime War, 16 million dead. Empires collapsed. We called it the war to end all wars. But it didn't, Orla continued. 21 years later, Second Prime War, 85 million dead. We split atoms and used them as weapons. We industrialized death. We nearly exterminated ourselves. The lecture hall was a tomb. Species who had never heard this before struggled to process the numbers. Impossible, a Velkorn cadet chittered. No species commits Prime War against itself. The survival imperative prevents. We did, Lewis said simply. Twice. And we're still here. Jothik descended from his platform, approaching the 2 humans with a mixture of horror and fascination. The psychological damage. The societal collapse. Your statistics indicate we rebuilt. Orla interrupted, her voice soft but unyielding. We created a unified world government. We eliminated the conditions that caused the wars. We looked at the ashes of 100 million dead and decided that we would be better. And you succeeded? The Drasi's translated voice quavered with disbelief. We're here, aren't we? Lewis gestured to the assembled species. We went from splitting atoms to destroy each other to splitting atoms for power. From rockets designed to carry death to rockets that carried us to the stars. We took the worst thing we'd ever done and decided it would be the last worst thing we'd ever do. Jothik's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. Extreme confusion. But the data, 3,000 civilizations, all declined post-Prime War. All. Maybe, Orla said, moving to stand beside Lewis. That's because they fought someone else. When you fight an external enemy, you can blame them for everything. You can make them the source of all evil. But when you fight yourself, she tapped her chest. You have to look in the mirror. You have to own it. All of it. And that, Lewis added, makes all the difference. We couldn't pretend we were the victims. We were the perpetrators and the victims. So we had to change everything. The lecture hall remained silent as Instructor Jothik processed this. His antennae drooped, then straightened, then drooped again. I need to revise my lecture, he finally said, his voice barely translated above a whisper. For 300 years I've taught that Prime War was unsurvivable. But humanity, we're stubborn, Orla said with a slight smile. It's our worst and best quality. And lucky, Lewis added. Very, very lucky. We came so close to extinction that we could feel the void looking back. That kind of terror, it focuses the mind. Jothik returned to his platform, but his usual confidence had evaporated. Class dismissed. I have much to reconsider. As the cadets filed out in stunned silence, the Grenth warrior touched Lewis's shoulder with surprising gentleness. Your species is terrifying, he rumbled. Yeah, Lewis agreed. We terrify ourselves sometimes. Orla and Lewis walked through the crystalline corridors, aware of the stairs following them. In hushed tones, aliens who had fought in dozens of minor conflicts whispered about the species that had fought itself and won. Think Jothik will actually revise his theory? Orla asked. Maybe. Or maybe we're the exception that proves the rule. Lewis shrugged. Either way, they know now. Humanity didn't just survive Prime War. We survived ourselves. Behind them in the lecture hall, Instructor Jothik stared at the human data with all 6 eyes. 3,000 civilizations had fallen to Prime War. But perhaps, just perhaps, if one species could look into the abyss of self-destruction and step back, others could learn from them. The humans called it hope. And in a galaxy that had forgotten what that word truly meant, it was the most alien concept of all.